Having had 5 children, you would think there was nothing in the world that would scare me about childbirth. And it really doesn't ever since Labor Day of 2008 when I gave birth to my second son, which was my third child. That was the day that Hurricane Gustav had hit through New Orleans and was headed up through Arkansas. That day I went to work. It was a new cloud in the sky. I went to work, walked there up and down hills. We lived in a little town that had a whole lot of hills. Walked to work, like I said, up and down the hills. Came back home from work, up and down the hills. Got home. My husband was laying on the couch with our other child, and I suddenly felt the pains. So I knew I was going into labor, but being a holiday, I really didn't want to go to the hospital. So I tried to just ease through it and walk my way through it and stay home as long as possible. But eventually it comes to the point where I was hurting so bad, I had to go to the hospital. I knew it was time. So I get to the hospital there and find out that my doctor has taken a vacation that one day of the whole year, Labor Day. So the doctor's there. They send me off to another town, Pine Bluff, which was about 45 minutes away by ambulance or car. Either way, it wasn't even an hour away. But we didn't have a car, so it was really upsetting me. We had to find a way to get my husband and my other son to that town, and then the storm had came. So the clouds were moving in. It had started raining. It was starting to thunder bad. And I was scared to death. I did not want to ride in an ambulance up to another town without my family, by myself, in a hurricane. So we get on the road. I'm scared, like I said, just nervous. About to have a heart attack. They couldn't make me lay down. I had to sit up and look out the window to see what was going on behind me. And all I could see was trees flying everywhere because, like I said, we were in the hills. So there's a lot of trees, a lot of wind blowing those trees side to side, almost clear across the road. So we're headed to Pine Bluff, and I see a vehicle come flying up behind us. And sure enough, my husband had gotten his brother to pick him up there in our town where he happened to be visiting, but he lived in the town that I had to go have the baby at. So he picked him and my child up and was right behind the ambulance. And eventually he got tired of riding behind the ambulance and went ahead and passed, so he beat me to the other town. So we get to the other town. They get me in the ER. They unload me. They rush me up to OB. That time, I was upset, scared to death. The only thing I could think of was give me something for the pain. So they give me an epidural, which was hard to get in because the lights wouldn't stay on. The lights were flickering on and off. The hurricane had made it that far. And now we were at big risk of me having a baby in the dark, which was the worst feeling in the world. So they gave me my epidural. It started kicking in. Of course, I started relaxing. The storm was no longer even on my mind. And the moment that the doctor came in and put on his gloves and his scrubs and got all ready to deliver the baby, then the lights flickered off. It was the most unforgettable moment of my life. Imagine your baby is about to enter the world and the lights go off. And at the moment the lights come on, that's when you heard my child cry. And it was the sweetest moment, the most blessed moment of my life. But it was also the scariest. So, of course, we were ecstatic. Baby's fine and healthy. Could stay in the hospital maybe a day or two. And because of the storm, we really didn't have a way back home. And no electricity once we got there. So we stayed a couple more days. The hospital put us up. We get back home. And guess what? There was no electricity at our home for another week. So where I'd already went through the scariest event of my life with a hurricane coming through as my child was being born, then I had to deal with a newborn baby. No water, no lights, nothing for a whole week. And now that child is my terrible little hurricane. He runs around and he is always into something, always doing something. As I said, he's Hurricane Evan. Thank you.